Just because we can do something does not mean that we always should. We're going to take a look at some of the legal and ethical issues with computer use. One legal and ethical question when it comes to computer use is this idea of downloading music, videos, and programs that do not belong to the user. Before the age of popular streaming software, this was a massive issue. Now, a lot of music can be streamed for no cost, and a lot of video streaming services are out there as well. Is it okay to download someone else's YouTube video? It's not a difficult thing to do, and yet it is not the right thing to do. When there is music, videos, or programs that are online, someone owns the digital rights to that property. Just like someone would own the right to a house and to their own physical land property, just like someone would own a car and have that as their personal property, there are people and companies that own songs, videos, and programs that often allow us to use them for a price. When people go around trying to download, stream, or use this digital property without paying for them, they are stealing. There are a lot of other legal and ethical issues when it comes to computer use and viruses. We've talked before about the many different types of viruses that are out there, but there are different ways in which computers are used to gain access to someone's information, digital property, to gain access to physical property through a bank account, or to gain access to personal and confidential information through emails. Finally, there are some viruses that seek to gain information about a person's identity, that they are able to assume their identity online, which is identity theft. These are the different pieces of software and tactics that are used to gain access to this information. Spyware is a particular piece of code that is meant to sit on a person's computer and spy, or give information back to the creator of the virus about what is happening on the computer. This information could tell what the user is viewing, what they're browsing, what they're clicking on, what information they are sending, and what information they're receiving. Sometimes this information is then used to assume or to steal someone's identity. This can also be done by gaining access to someone's social insurance number or credit card number, which then allows them to make purchases and charges on behalf of that person. Sometimes this can severely damage an individual's reputation, livelihood, and credit, and can be very difficult to restore. Phishing is another way that people use to gain access to someone else's information. This could be a misleading message that tricks the user into giving up identifying information online. That information could then be used to gain that person's digital identity. Keystroke logging is another particular virus that sits on someone's computer and records what keys are pressed on the keyboard. This could then be used to decipher and figure out people's passwords or even bank information. There are other viruses and there are other pieces of software that carry out a process called packet sniffing. As information is sent to our computer and goes out from our computer through our networks, it sends that information in packets. Certain programs can intercept those packets and can decipher what information is being sent or received. That information could be identifying information, it could be bank account information, or it could be sensitive and confidential information being sent from one person to another. Separate from viruses and identity theft, we also have ethical issues connected with computer use. One specific ethical issue surrounding computer use is cyberbullying. Having constant access to each other through the technology that surrounds us has allowed bullying to go beyond just face-to-face interaction and continues online. This is something that could very quickly cross the line into the criminal act of harassment. Finally, when talking about ethical computer use, we need to talk about the term hacker. Although we use the term hacker quite often, it is important for us to identify the difference between a white hat hacker versus a black hat hacker. A hacker is simply someone who uses a computer to gain unauthorized access to data and information. Someone who is a white hat hacker is doing this in a positive way. Oftentimes, they work for a particular company in order to find loopholes in the security of their own network. This is done so that a company can be more diligent about making sure that the information they have is protected. A black hat hacker gains unauthorized access to data in order to do negative things. This could include any of the previously mentioned examples of identity theft, of access to sensitive or confidential data, as well as access to bank account information. When we use computers, we need to be very careful about how we are using them and the purpose behind why we are using them. It is also important for us to think about how we are best serving the world that surrounds us. How are we being good stewards of God's creation through our use of computers and technology?